In this session, we're going to cover the freemium business model. The freemium is not a new kind of business model, but in this session we're going to look at what's the freemium, what makes it so, and when can you really call it a freemium business model. Now, the freemium model is something that has existed for years. Actually, we can say that ever since the internet has become commercially viable, most successful companies initially have used a freemium model to dominate and to gain market share very quickly. One example is, for instance, of course, when the first browser launched, Netscape, it was a free service, a free browser that all users could use, and then eventually they went through a funnel where there would be not really a paying subscription, but more like an enterprise version of the same browser that could be sold to enterprise customers. Now, a freemium therefore is just that. You have a free version of a service, of a product, of a software, where all users can really come inside and test the product, enjoy the service. And then those users, all the free users, are then channeled through a funnel where they can become paying active customers. It's very important not to confuse the freemium business model with the advertising business model. For instance, when you see a company like Google or Facebook, their services are free, but they're not running on top of a freemium business model because they're not selling a premium version of the same product. They are instead letting a third party, which in the case of Google and Facebook is a company, to subsidize the service for the free user. So the free user is not paying for the service. Neither there is a paying customer who is paying for a premium version of the same product. Instead, the product is getting subsidized by a third-party company in this case. Instead, in a freemium, the path it's a little bit more linear. It's a little bit more linear, where you go from a free service to a paid version of the same product, which for instance has additional features, more stuff inside, or for instance more volume. For instance, you get freemium examples are of course companies like Dropbox, or like for instance Slack, or many other on the market, or like MailChimp. So there are many companies that really are built on top of freemium services. Now, it's very important that you understand that having a free service doesn't make a company a freemium business model, because in order for you to build a successful freemium business model, you need to make sure that you do understand that your marketing and your product really become the same thing. So you want to break down the walls that exist between like engineering, development, product development, and marketing and sales, and bring all together so that you can build a successful funnel that brings you high value also users to become paying customers, because otherwise having a free service or product is not going to make your company a freemium business model. And this is very important. For instance, when you look at the cases of companies like MailChimp, who is like an email provider, then you know that even in this case, when they used the freemium model, they used it after they had a lot of already enterprise accounts, so they had large clients enough to sustain the free service. Because let's remember, also having a free software in place is not something cheap. It's actually as a very expensive strategy. Also, if you think of players like Grammarly, who is like the grammar checker, you know that the company is very successful, but on the other hand, they have been structured in a way that the development of the product of the free service has been thought to also bring as many people inside the premium service. And that's how you build a freemium business model. Because again, let's remember that building up a free service and keeping a free service, especially a free software, at scale can be extremely expensive. And therefore, if you're going to build a freemium business model, you want to build it on top of a funnel which it's merged with the product development. So within the product you have built-in triggers that enable free users to actually become paid customers, and this is extremely important, because otherwise you could instead just offer a paid version of your product and that's it, and focus your effort on sales and marketing to promote the product. Because if the free version is not smooth enough to enable users to become customers, then you actually don't have a freemium business model. You just have a free service on the market that will never help your company turn a profit.